about this, the border crisis that we've seen, the growing fallout, specifically for the Georgia election law changes. Here to discuss this is Republican Congressman Rick Allen, who represents Georgia's 12th Congressional District. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. There's a lot of talk coming out of your state, sir, in what passed with Governor Brian Kemp in changing some of the laws. Before I get to the details of it, what about this state legislation now on elections in your state, voting in your state specifically, has so many critics upset?
Well, obviously, our constituency wanted changes. They wanted to secure our election laws. Let's be clear. There was a different standard for absentee voting than in-person voting. And, of course, absentee voting increased dramatically during the COVID crisis. And so basically, that's unequal representation under the law. That's why I signed the amicus brief, because I wanted the Supreme Court to rule that you have to have the same standard for absentee voting as well as in-person voting, and that's what our legislative body accomplished.
Yeah, I talked to one of essentially your colleagues, if you will, Congressman Austin Scott, a couple hours ago, and he informed me that before, I believe during the Clinton and Trump election, it was at 5% for absentee in your state. It's at 25% now in your state at the last election. And that's why you're requiring for folks to be able to show an ID if they're going to absentee vote. But a lot of people are upset about this, so much so that there are calls to move the Masters out of Georgia, to move baseball games out of Georgia. That's how upset they are. What's your response to that?
Well, I don't understand their argument, because it applies to every Georgian. I mean, it doesn't apply to one group or this group. It's across the board. What we want is secure elections. We want to bring integrity back to our elections. And our voters, some of our voters began to believe that their vote didn't count, that their vote was canceled. And we don't want that in Georgia. So, again, I don't understand their argument. Like I said, this applies to everyone. There should be no argument against secure elections.
And so just to be clear, all you're asking for is an ID by the state of Georgia, because you're voting in your state, to request an absentee ballot. That's it, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Voting is a sacred right. I mean, is it more important than buying a pack of cigarettes? I mean, you have to have an ID to buy a pack of cigarettes. I mean, like I said, it applies across the board to every Georgian. Not one group. We're not targeting any group. It's for everyone. And I don't understand this argument about it's a problem for this group of people or that group of people.
All right. You need an ID to see a rated R film. You need an ID to adopt a cat. You need an ID to buy a pint of beer. Nevertheless, here, I want to get your response to this, the growing border crisis, and you've seen some of your fellow Republican colleagues visiting the border. It continues, this story continues to grow and grow and to build. What is your thoughts on what the administration needs to do? You've seen Senator Ted Cruz out there. He's visited the wall, but nevertheless, we can't get cameras in there. Reporters can't get inside of these migrant facilities where the children are being kept just to see what conditions they're actually in. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, first, it's unconscionable to me that a United States senator can't go in and take pictures of those facilities to be able to determine what the real problem is down there. That would be like them telling Senator Cruz that he can't attend a classified briefing. I mean, that is ridiculous. And the Biden administration should be held accountable for doing something like that. But obviously, this is a result of a reversal of those policies put in place to solve this problem by the Trump administration, because, again, the Trump administration and our Congress, when we were in the majority, we were trying to produce meaningful legislation to deal with that crisis on the border and deal with immigration. And we couldn't get that done in a bipartisan manner. And so as a result of that, this is what we have.
Yeah. All right. I'll leave it right there.
Chaos.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate your time and your words on this. That's Congressman Rick Allen joining us from Georgia.
Right.
Good to see you, Congressman.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Anytime.